As a property developer, how important is your business plan? My name is Ritchie Clapson, and you're watching The Open Door Show. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about business plans. And some of you are probably thinking, business plans? Why do I want to talk about business plans? Why am I interested? I just want to get on and do some property stuff. Let's have a think about that. Let's build this up and understand, hopefully, by the time we finish today's show, and get you to the point where you believe a business plan is important. So let's start out. Let's think why you're going to be here. Maybe you're already here. Maybe you're thinking of coming on this journey and you want to get into property development. Well, why would you be doing that? Let's have a think of the results. What can you get out of being a property developer? I know a lot of you will know this. Obviously, you're new to the channel. Maybe this is the first time you thought about property development. Well, we're talking about earning six-figure sums of money. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Some students out of their first project projecting £1 million profit. Let's forget the £1 million. Let's do the £200,000 or £300,000 because I strongly believe, for most people, that sort of number every year is more than enough. You can do what you want with £200,000 or £300,000. It's way more, perhaps, than a lot of people are already earning. And bearing in mind, you can probably do this part-time. So what's not to like? So let's have a think about that. That's the goal. Okay, so you're going to start this journey, or you've already started this journey, and you're looking for your £200,000 to £300,000 a year. So I want to do property development. But what sort of property development? Which way do you want to go? Well, I want to go out there and I just want to develop something. I want to turn something into houses. Maybe convert existing buildings. Maybe do some land. I don't really mind. Well, maybe that's a bit vague. Perhaps we've got to think a little bit more about our business plan. Because the business plan is going to get you to start thinking about maybe risk, maybe time scale. How are you going to do this? Because if I said to you, okay, you can start today and we can go down here and at some point we can earn £200,000 to £300,000. How long is that time scale? What if I said, I tell you what, I could train you to be a property developer. Come on board, come and work with me over here. I can mentor, I can guide with you. Okay, we can steer you along, no problem at all. I can get you earning £200,000 to £300,000. It's going to take 20 years. Are you interested? You're not, are you? You're not interested. You want to do it quicker than that. If I told you it took 10 years, are you interested? You're probably not. If I told you could do it in 2 years, are you interested? Definitely. I know a lot of people want to do it in 1 year. Can you? No, forget it. If you want to make £100,000 to £200,000 or £300,000 in a year, go and get yourself a lottery ticket or learn to sing and dance. Because you're not going to do that as a property developer. So 2 years is my timescale. That's what I'm going to tell you. A lot of people sit back and they go, yeah, okay, 2 years. I think I could do that. I could wait 2 years. 2 years from now. So whenever you're watching this, think 2 years ahead. Think of the month and the year 2 years ahead. Would you be prepared to put some effort in and wait 2 years to get £200,000 to £300,000? Yeah, I guess that's the answer. I guess you would, wouldn't you? So we're going to wait 2 to 3 years to get £200,000 to £300,000. That's in our business plan. Now, let's have a think about it. What else? Are you interested in risk? Well, surely you are, because you're going to have to put some money into this. Let's say you need a minimum 12,000, 20, say £20,000 to put into this. Have you got £20,000? Maybe you have. Was that a hard-earned £20,000? I don't suppose it just landed in your lap. So that money you want to look after. Maybe you've got £100,000. Maybe you only need 20 to start, but maybe you've got 100. So we've got a lump of money. So presumably what we want to put into our business plan is we want to minimise the risk of that money. Would that be fair? We want to minimise that risk and we want to do this in 2 years, £200,000 to £300,000. Like the idea? Yeah, okay, hopefully you do. So now we've got to think about how we go out there. So this business plan, okay, we're going to write a business plan. I've got on here, I'm going to have a 1-page business plan. Now, what you don't want to do is write a lengthy business plan. And maybe you've never written a business plan before. I remember once in a business, probably, 25 years ago, I asked a colleague of mine to write a business plan. And he did. I mean, it was brilliant. But it was that thick. I must confess, and if he's watching this now for the first time, I never read the damn thing. I think he thought I did, but I didn't. And actually, by the time he'd written it, it was probably out of date. What about a one-page business plan, literally one sheet of A4? Got a few boxes on it. You can Google it. There are lots of one-page business plans out there. Imagine you've got a business plan that you literally could fill out. One page, you could probably do it in a couple of hours, maybe a day at most, go backwards and forwards thinking about it. And then this business plan, we're going to revisit. In fact, we're going to rewrite this business plan every single month. I suppose you're not happy about that, are you? Thinking every single month I'm going to write a business plan. Come on, Clapson, give me a break. No, every single month you've got to write this business plan. And I'm going to tell you why. All is going to be revealed. So, one-page business plan, every single month, you're going to rewrite it, write it with a pen, by hand, by the way, not type it. That was typing, by the way. Not type it. I'm not very good. I can actually, that's typing, isn't it? That's not typing. I don't do that. That's not typing. But you've got to write it. And there's a reason you've got to write it. The reason you've got to write it is when you actually put a pen, and actually I don't know this stuff, but my business partner, Ian, my fellow, the other half of propertyCEO, he tells me, and I actually totally believe him because he's really good on the mindset stuff. If you pick up a pen, and when you put a pen to paper, it connects with your brain. And that actually makes you remember much more what you write. That's what he says. And I actually think it works. So don't type it. It's not just cut and paste. You've got to rewrite it every month. And we're going to come back to why that is. So, we've got a business plan. Why do we need a business plan? I've got on here, shiny penny. Do you know the shiny penny syndrome? You ever done that? You ever got excited on something in life? So you want to be a property developer, okay? So we're on board. This is what we want to do. We're going to get excited. We're on a journey. We're going to earn £200,000 to £300,000 a year in 2 years' time. Sounding good, isn't it? And what you're looking for out there, well, we want to minimize risk. You want to spend about $20,000 into the deal. So what we're looking for is an opportunity to minimize risk, 20,000 in, and it's actually going to give us the money in 2 to 3, not 2 to 3, what am I talking about? 2 years, okay? Going to give us that money in 2 years, but £200,000 to £300,000. Okay, so we're looking for something probably like a permitted development right scheme. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain briefly, but you want to absorb some other open door shows because we talk about it a lot here at propertyCEO. So a permitted development right scheme is a short circuit of the planning system. The planning system in this country is broken. It was broken under the last government, it's broken under this government, and it's probably going to still be broken under the next government. That's almost for certain. It's probably unlikely to ever be fixed. And so if you go in for planning, if you put a scheme in for planning, maybe you see a bit of land, some nice new houses, that sort of thing, and you go in for planning, you don't know when you're going to be. It could be going for planning. And you know, I was speaking in London, I think it was, last year, 2024. And actually there was a guy, he'd been in the planning system for 4 years. 4 years in the planning system. And he still hadn't got a solution. The planning system is broken. There's not enough planning officers. They're probably underpaid. They're probably overworked. So the government, previous government, current government has adopted a short circuit. It's called permitted development rights. You can find an old commercial building. There's a whole list of them. Banks, restaurants, shops, offices. There's a whole list. Light industrial, indoor recreational centres, health centres, gymnasiums, all sorts. All sorts. And if you find any one of those buildings, you can convert that into residential properties. Either flats or houses. There's various ways we can do it. And you have a right. You have 56 days. You put an application in. In 56 days, if the planning officer doesn't come back to you, guess what? Just carry on. You can just carry on and do your development. So the risk is minimized. And there's only a handful, literally a handful of things that they can ask you, questions that they can ask you. And if you tick those boxes beforehand, well, you know, with an element of certainty, there's always an element of risk, of course there is, but a large element of certainty that you're going to be able to go and do your project scheme, your development. You're going to be able to take that building, that commercial building, and turn it into residential. So we have certainty going down the permitted development routes. How does that sound? Sounds good, doesn't it, for this journey that we want to go on? So you're out there, okay, here we go. You started this journey, you've got your business plan. We're out there. We're now going to go out and we want to avoid this shiny penny, but we'll be looking for our opportunities. Well, we've had a look at an old office building, haven't we? We've done that and we stacked it up and we put an offer in and we didn't get it, okay? So there we are. You and I, we're working together. We didn't get it. And what's the next thing? Well, we look at maybe another office building and we can't get that one to stack. It doesn't seem to work. The layout's not great. Forget that one. And then we look at another one and another one and another one and another one. In fact, we've looked at loads. Maybe we've looked at 100. In fact, I say you have to look at 100 deals or 100 opportunities to get one sensible deal out the bottom. 100 in the funnel at the top, one out the bottom. Imagine looking at 100 deals, 100 opportunities. You're going to get a bit fed up, aren't you? A bit disillusioned, perhaps, on that journey. So imagine you're on that journey. You looked at 100 deals, none of them work. What about, though, have a think about this. What about if I presented you a land opportunity? A bit of land that's stacked up on the face of it, and you could build half a dozen houses. Yeah, half a dozen houses, nice brand new houses. You could go and build them on a nice bit of land, nice and simple, relatively straightforward, nothing there. The total deal stacks up, and you can go and make a big lump of money. Say maybe 200,000, maybe 300,000. Are you liking that opportunity? Come on, honestly, are you liking it? You are, aren't you? It's good, isn't it? Would that make you some money? Or would it? What about if we go back to our business plan? If we go back to the reason that we're here. If we go back to our one-page business plan. And what have we got on our one-page business plan? Well, we've got on our one-page business plan what we are trying to achieve. So here's a question. Does this fit in with your timescale? What was your timescale? Come on, remember, what was it? It was 2 years, wasn't it? 2 years from now, from wherever you're listening to this, you want to go and make your £200,000 to £300,000. Does this new build scheme fit in with your timescale? Well, let's try and understand this. You're going to put your planning application in because it's a planning application requirement. How long will your planning application take? Well, in theory, 8 weeks. In practice, 4 years, maybe. Maybe you were much better than that. Maybe it only took you 2 years. Actually, let's go even better. Maybe it only took you a year. How would that be if it only took you a year? That's much better than the person I thought were 4 years. And many people take 1, 2 years, 3 years doing planning applications. But let's just say it took you a year. But does that fit in with your timescale? So you've actually got to go and find this building, or this land in this case. You've got a year to put your application in. Well, we can't put the application in straight away because we don't know what we're putting the application in for. So we've got to get this drawn up. We've got to get an architect on board, a planning consultant. We've got to draw this up. We've got to make sure the scheme absolutely stacks with what we thought in our original numbers before we put that in. How long is that going to be? 2 months? Probably 3. Let's say 3 months. 3 months to do that. So we're going to get 3 months, and then we're going to put the application in. It's going to take a year. So we've got 12 plus 3, we've got 15 months. Just think about this. We've got to buy the thing as well, haven't we? How long does solicitors take to buy it? 2 years? 2 years, maybe? Who knows? Perhaps 2 months. Let's go 2 months. Let's be super positive. I mean, they're better than what they were. So 2 months for your solicitor to buy it. Let's add that to our 15, our 12 plus our 3, 15 plus 2, 17 months. So 17 months from now, assuming you found it today, as you're watching this video, you're going to be in a position when you can actually, well, provisionally go out and get a contractor. You've got to get a contractor. How long is that going to take? Probably 2 to 3 months to tender it and get a contractor. Well, let's say it only takes you a month. 17, 18. We're up to 18 months. You've got to build it. How long is it going to take to build it? Probably 12 months. Hang on a minute. So we've got 18 months plus 12, and we've got to sell it. How long to sell it? Probably 4 months. I've got 18, 20, 32. Hang on a minute. Does it fit in with your timescale? Do you want to wait 3 years? Or do you want to do it in 2? Doesn't fit in, does it? But it becomes attractive. What about the risk? You know, we've got £20,000. We want to minimise our risk. That's what we've talked about. Well, how much to get that planning application in? Because it's not like a permitted development application, which is simple, relatively simple, and it's kept cost effectively. And remember, you have a half dozen things. It's got an element of certainty. So actually, if we're going to go down the permitted development route, it's relatively cost effective and it's relatively certain. But here, well, you've got to get the architect, you've got to get the planning consultant. We've already talked about them. They've got several months' worth of work, not just solely on your project, but on others. So they've got to get that in. And then you've got to get the planning process and you've got to get the application, you've got to get it. How much do you think that's going to cost you? Well, go on, have a guess. How much would a planning application typically cost you on a development site that you're going to put in with all the associated fees? Who reckons it's more than 10? 20? 30? In fact, 30,000. It's often around 30,000. You don't get a lot of change out of 30,000. A lot of consultants will say, yeah, planning application, 30,000. If you're going to go on a new build site, that's what it's going to cost you. Because you've got to do a number of other reports. Often the planning process requires other reports where the permitted development process doesn't. So we're going to spend 30,000. Just think about it. There's not much more, is it? 20 on the other solution, 30 here. But 30,000, in fact, could be less than 20 on the other one. But 30,000, and with what? Any certainty? None. No certainty. In fact, you could be there, as I've said, someone 4 years. I actually met someone who'd been on a scheme for 10 years and lost, I think it was 2 or 3 appeals, and still hadn't got planning permission. 10 years of their life wasted on development. So actually, this 30,000 that you could invest, and even if you got it for less, has got no guarantee of any success. Now, I know nothing is guaranteed in life, but if we're looking at the associated or the relative risks, permitted development is virtually risk-free. It's not completely risk-free, of course it's not. But compared to the planning system, you could argue it is. So have you got 30,000 to speculate? Well, let's go back to our one-page business plan. Have we got £30,000? No, we haven't. We haven't got that money. And what if you actually just go and buy the site? That's even worse. I hear people say, I'm going to go out and buy the site. I'm going to go and buy this development opportunity. I'm going to get it on bridging finance. Yeah, of course you can. But now you've bought the site, and guess what? The clock is ticking. The finance is racking up. And what if it's a year? What if you buy that site, let's say for £300,000? Let's keep the numbers nice and simple, keep them comparable. If you buy that site for £300,000, and let's say the bridging costs you 10% per annum, in fact, it's probably going to cost you a bit more. That's £30,000 there in the first 12 months. And what have you done? Nothing. So in fact, you spent 30,000 on the bridging, on the finance cost, 30,000 on the planning application. And what have you got? Maybe nothing as yet. Maybe you got rejected. So now you've got a site that you've just proved to the rest of the world that you can't get planning permission on. So what have you done to your site? Have you increased the value or devalued it? You've devalued your site. So you end up with a site that, do you know, what do? Do you keep going? It's like an old car, isn't it? You repair it once and then you think, I can't do it anymore. But you spend a bit more, you think, I've got to get my money back. I keep it going, I keep it going. So what would you do? You've already spent 30,000 on interest. You spent 30,000 trying to get it through planning. You still haven't got it. And now you need a whole load more reports. You're probably going to spend more money. Maybe you're going to spend another 10, 10, £70,000. Have you got £70,000? Let's go back to our business plan. Well, we haven't, have we? That's not in there. And actually think about this as well. What about the opportunity cost? What else could you do? So think about someone that goes on a planning route. Think about that person that I met at that event who'd been on a journey for 4 years. 4 years, probably with some money tied up within that site. What could they have done under permitted development? Well, maybe they could have done 2 schemes. Maybe they could have done 3. Maybe they'd have got less money, but ultimately they'd have been ahead of that other person who hasn't even started. Now, I know some people almost certainly, I bet you, come on, are you one of those that's out there saying to me right now, yeah, come on, Clapson, you don't have to buy that site. You're talking about £30,000. We can buy it on an option. Yeah, come on, am I right? Who said that? One of you at least out there has said that, and I bet it's you. You said, I can get it on a site. I get a £1 option on that site. And you know you could. Someone could say, you can have that bit of land. I'll tell you what, John, that bit of land's yours. Come on, Kathy, that's yours for £1. £1 option, I won't sell it to anyone else. You got yourself 4 years. Okay, £1 option. You've got security of that land. You've got to get some solicitors to draw that up. How much is that going to cost you? That's probably a couple of thousand. Okay, maybe you haven't spent £30,000 interest, but you still spent £30,000 on the planning application. So can you afford to waste that 30? My suggestion is if you can't afford to waste 30, you probably can't afford to waste 60. In fact, you don't want to waste any. Because if you've got another option, why wouldn't you take it? Why would you not take the path of least resistance? Surely you would. You know, if you're in a burning building and there's a fire escape door and the alarm's going off, what would you do? Go for the fire escape. I mean, I can run at the wall really fast and maybe I'll get through if it's a plasterboard wall, but I mean, that's not the path of least resistance, is it? So you have an opportunity. You can go down the permitted development right route. You can go down the planning route. Which one's going to actually fit with you? In fact, which one's going to fit with your business plan? And that's what I talk about. It's coming back to that business plan and avoid getting attracted by shiny pennies. Because I can tell you right now, this is going to happen to you. If you go into this journey, if you become or want to become a developer, already perhaps that journey is ongoing. And maybe this is happening to you right now. Maybe you're already at that point when you're starting to get distracted, maybe disillusioned by not being able to find an opportunity. Maybe you're up to 99 opportunities are looked at and one's not popped out the funnel. But actually, if you get sidetracked and you go back and you go for something else, which is that shiny penny, and you know, we all suffer from it. You're not actually doing what you wanted to do. And this conversation, literally, on the day we record this, I had it yesterday in a room full of my students. And one of my students was doing exactly what we were talking about. I've got this great opportunity, she said. I said, but it requires full planning. We debated it in the room. Yeah, but I think it's quite a nice opportunity. I said, yeah, it might be. But does it fit in with what you want to do? Oh, yeah, but I think it might be quite a nice opportunity. But does it fit in with what you want to do? I think it might be quite a nice opportunity. And that's what she kept looking at, kept going back. And then I stopped her. I stopped her in her tracks and I said, look, why are you here? What is your motive? What was your original business plan? And when we analysed that, this nice opportunity did not fit in any way, shape or form with that business plan. Now, of course, you can change your business plan, but normally you write your business plan sensibly. And it probably is sensible. It is sensible to go down that journey and minimise that risk. And I think it's like anything. Any business you're in, whether it's property development or anything else, focus on what you want to do. A one-page business plan, rewritten every month, and hopefully you can now see that benefit, grounds you. It brings you back. Change it if you want, of course. But every month, if you sit down, find some time to work on your business and not in it. And sit down with your one page, one sheet of A4 and a pen. Don't type it. Don't cut and paste. Don't get tempted to do that. And just sit down. Probably half an hour, maybe an hour. Just rethink why you're here, what you're trying to achieve, what this journey is about, what your appetite for risk is or isn't. And that way, you might be able to avoid the shiny pennies. Does that make sense? One-page business plan. Go and Google it. Start one today. Hopefully you like what we do here, and if you do, like and subscribe, and then you won't miss out on any future shows. See you next time.